Hi, I'm Graham Lindsay from the Environment Agency's Flood Resilience team based in Leeds. We do a lot of work with communities, businesses and organisations that are at risk of flooding and give advice and information about how to be prepared. What I want to do is just highlight some of those resources that are out there that are easily available. Starting with our flood warning service, so a free service that's available if you're living next to rivers that could flood. We've got leaflets that explain how the service works, what the different codes mean when we're issuing flood alerts, flood warnings, severe flood warnings, and obviously we'd encourage anyone at risk of flooding from the rivers or from the sea to access this information and make sure they're fully registered to receive our flood warnings. Obviously it's great if people are registered for warnings, but we also need people to think, well, what will I do if I do get an Environment Agency flood warning, or if I do think flooding is going to occur? So lots of information around that, and we'd encourage people to use some kind of flood plan template to actually put your ideas together as to what you're going to do. So we have different templates aimed at household, business or community that allow you to pre-prepare what your key actions are going to be should flooding occur. So these are likely to be things like having a list of key contact numbers, both for external organisations and for your own family and local friends. Things like, what actions will I need to take? Are there things I can do to try and stop water getting into the property? Are there things I will need to move? Could be your car, could be your family photo album that would be very difficult to replace if there was a flood. So having all those things pre-prepared is a great idea, and it's a lot easier than actually trying to deal with all these things during a crisis such as flooding. We have information tailored towards businesses. Unfortunately, during the Christmas floods, we had thousands of businesses affected across Yorkshire, for example, and we're working with those businesses and making sure they're aware of information about how they can be prepared for flooding in the future. We have similar information aimed at households and also whole communities. A lot of people be aware that there's different things out there to sandbags. A lot of people talk about sandbags during a flood, but there's better things out there that can be accessed. They might come at a cost, but ultimately probably will be more effective. So we've got a guide that goes through some of the things you can do to try and make your home more resistant to flooding, to hopefully keep the water out, but also ways to make your home more resilient so that if the flooding does get into your property, it causes less damage. So in terms of keeping the water out, it might be things like flood guards for your doors, air brick covers to stop the water getting into there, bungs for your toilet to stop the water backing up through that part of the water system. So again, there's things you can look into that might make a massive difference in terms of the impact and the distress of a flood. Finally, we just recommend that you visit our information on gov.uk, where we've got plenty of information about all these different topics. We've got all these leaflets available as online versions, and you can also access up-to-date and live information such as what's the current level of the river where I am, have any flood alerts and flood warnings been issued, and what's the sort of flooding outlook for the current day and for the days ahead. If you're not someone who goes online very much, there's an option to call our Floodline service. It's a 24-hour service, and you can get similar advice and information by calling 0345 988 1188.